one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something, you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing would admit to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa. Boss forever like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop a million songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
I kept saying like, bro. I'm mad, bro. I ain't gonna be all right.
Welcome back. Another episode of Kicking It with Saint. It's hot as hell in the room that I'm in right now. I don't want to call it a studio. I gotta take off some of these layers, my guy. How is everybody doing out there today? I had on a Campbell Letterman. I had to take a Campbell Letterman. I had on a Campbell Windbreaker. I had to take that hoe off because I got a hoodie on, an Adidas hoodie on under it. I was finna say I got a Campbell hoodie on, but I didn't go Campbell today. Nonetheless, how is everybody doing out there? I appreciate you for joining. I truly do. Your support means the world to me. We got football to talk about. Now, see, what I should be talking about. And this episode will contain a lot of Super Bowl 59 preview talk. Chiefs, Eagles, rematch of Super Bowl 57. I like shit like this. I like it when we get rematches. I would have liked it more if Lamar Jackson were in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, but it is what it is. Mark Andrews. Nonetheless, still trying to get over that. Oh, before I even get into the show, really, I do want to say something real quick. I was on Twitter. I've been on Twitter the last 2 days. I'm trying to limit my Twitter use because I'm coming to the realization niggas on Twitter are just fucking stupid. But as I was on Twitter, the majority of Ravens fans have finally switched to my side. Now, I done told you time and time again if you watch the show. And if you don't watch the show, one of my things that I say all the time is I don't need the most crazy shit to happen for me to pick a side or to be ahead of a curve, basically. A lot of analysts say stupid shit because they want to be ahead of a curve. I'm not worried about being ahead of the curve. If you just watch the games and you understand what you're watching and you can watch it and break it down from an unbiased perspective, then you don't have to worry about being ahead of a curve, because you'll just understand what you're seeing, and you'll know 9 times out of 10 when things of this nature are happening, this is the outcome. I watched Justin Fields and I said, this is not a good quarterback. I am not a biased football watcher. Is the Ravens my favorite team? Absolutely. But I would not be doing this right now if I couldn't watch every team in the game and break it down unbiasedly. The fact that it's still people saying that Justin Fields should be a starter in the NFL is exactly why shows like mine and people who know what they're talking about should be on TV. You got Chris Sims talking about Justin Fields should fit the Steelers' plans better. How? They could not score touchdowns with Justin Fields. That happened this year when their defense was the best in the league. That's why they were winning those games, not because of Justin Fields. When Russ comes in, okay, now you throwing it to receivers. Now you scoring touchdowns. I'm not finna hold it against Russ that he couldn't beat Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes. Nigga, them ain't average quarterbacks. Them ain't average teams. I know what I know. You don't have a chance at winning those games against those teams if you got Justin Fields as your starter. You don't have a chance. Justin Fields, and people think when you say something negative about Justin Fields or when you critique Justin Fields, that mean you don't like him. Like, people keep saying Shady is a hater. LaShawn McCoy hates Justin Fields. Go look at the comments under any video where he got to talk about Justin Fields. What I don't understand is how can you call somebody a hater when they legitimately breaking down the field? Not breaking down the film. Now, it's one thing when somebody done broke down the film to you, told you what they've seen from that film multiple times, and you keep saying Justin Fields is a good player. That's when niggas start getting disrespectful. Okay? That's when we start saying shit that sound hella disrespectful, but we passed that point of trying to be nice about it. Justin Fields is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. That is just plain and simple. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He don't throw with anticipation. He does not throw timing. He can't throw on time, which is insane that you can be a quarterback who does not throw on time ever. Unless it's a dig route, which really he don't even throw those on time, or a screen pass. The insanity of watching Justin Fields, seeing everything that he lacks, and still trying to say it's not Justin Fields, it's everybody else, I cannot understand it to save my life. I just cannot. I can't. It is one of the wildest fucking things that I have ever seen. I get on here and talk about Baker Mayfield. At no point in time have you ever heard me say that Baker Mayfield couldn't do some of the things that Justin Fields can't do. Because Baker Mayfield lacks some things in his game. But look at the improvements that even Baker has made. I understand his biggest improvement was moving from the AFC to the NFC. Justin Fields started in the NFC. Niggas is acting like we didn't have years of starting film of Justin Fields playing in the Jaden Daniels done already hit. Bo Nix done already shown he could be a franchise quarterback. Drake May done shown he could be a good quarterback. I don't understand. If you're waiting for a Sam Darnold type of season from Justin Fields, where you just praying he get to a team where everything is there for, it's not going to happen. For one, you severely underrated the talent he had in Chicago. Justin Fields was not talentless in Chicago, meaning he didn't have no talent around him in Chicago. I said on the show multiple times, Darryl Mooney is a good receiver. Justin Fields just ain't a good quarterback. But I'm not going to keep the people that's supposed to know the game is the ones leading the public astray. It's a sad reality. But I got to get my juice real quick, so hold tight. Now, I got off on a tangent talking about Justin Fields, but I wanted to say something real quick about the Ravens fans on Twitter. Because I've been on Twitter the last couple of days. I did not forget about that. I just ended up going off on this tangent about Justin Fields. But people on Twitter, Raven fans specifically, Raven fans done started moving to my side. Like I said before, I don't have to see, like, I didn't need to see Justin Fields be, I didn't need to see his worst season to know what he was going to be. Because if you just watched him, you knew what he was. That's my same thing when I talk about Mark Andrews. You see, a lot of Raven fans on Twitter now have run to this thing where it's, we got to start Likely. It's no, and the Ravens haven't said, they said Mark Andrews is in their plans going forward. And so Raven fans took that as, oh, they're going to re-sign him. The same Raven fans that want to get rid of Mark now was the same ones coming at me earlier in the season talking about I'm stupid for wanting to trade Mark Andrews. I just want y'all to keep that in mind. And the ones who didn't come at me were still tweeting shit like, we need Mark Andrews, yada, yada, yada. It took that big game against the Bills for people to turn on Mark Andrews. Now, I want to point out, I didn't turn on Mark Andrews. I just want to make that very clear. My critiques of Mark Andrews are not me turning on Mark Andrews. I want to tell you, last year I said that they should trade Mark Andrews. Matter of fact, the year that he got hurt, but I think that was last year where he got hurt. Yeah, that was last year where he got... Before Mark Andrews got hurt last year, I said I think they should trade him. But when they... No. It was halfway through. I think like the third game of Isaiah Likely starting, I said they should trade Mark Andrews because Isaiah Likely is very clear to me from what I'm seeing from... I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I did not need to see Isaiah Likely have his best games this year. I didn't need to see Isaiah this year to know last year Isaiah should be the starter going forward. And it wasn't because Mark Andrews was hurt. I explained earlier in the season why I lean towards Isaiah Likely. Because as great as Mark Andrews is, his greatness to me, a lot more of it have to do with the fact that it's a chemistry between him and Lamar. But I don't look at Mark Andrews and say he run better routes than Travis Kelce. He catch better than Travis. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, when you're an upper echelon player, sometimes you can be upper echelon just because you get a lot of targets on a certain team. Like you don't necessarily have to be the best. Like you would never take Cooper Kupp over Julio Jones. Julio Jones wasn't great because he just got a lot of targets. Julio Jones was great because Julio Jones was a fucking freak of nature. Now, Coop ain't just great because he get a lot of targets, but a great portion of Coop's greatness is because he get a lot of targets. When you look at Mark Andrews, I couldn't tell you what he do better than Kittle or Travis Kelce or Gronk. Those are, and then when I look, I'm not even going to go deep in it. But when I watch, now I'm not taking nothing away from Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is a great tight end, Hall of Fame tight end. I'm talking about those upper echelon players where it's like, these are great players right here. This motherfucker is great wherever he's at. It don't matter because he gonna be targeted regard. To me, that's Isaiah Likely. I said it earlier in the season. I've been saying it since last year. He more athletic than Mark. He is better running after the catch than Mark. He got better hands than Mark. And I could go down the list on all the things he do better than Mark. He blocked just like Mark. Like Mark is a good blocker. Isaiah Likely is a great blocker. Isaiah Likely is a great route runner. Isaiah Likely is far better at getting after the catch. The biggest thing, though, because it's a lot of things Isaiah Likely is just not. If you watch Likely, you look at him and you say, oh, that's a tight end who could be a legendary tight end. Just because, like, he's basically a wide receiver playing tight end with the height, the strength, the build. The one thing, though, that strongly made me want Isaiah Likely over Mark Andrews, because I felt like this would be a huge part of Lamar's development and growth. And that's because Mark Andrews is terrible in the clutch. I did not need to see Mark Andrews have that game this year against the Bills to know how bad he was in the clutch. I didn't need him to fail in the biggest moment for us to know that that's what Mark Andrews would do when that moment came along. Because I've been telling you since I started this channel, Mark Andrews is not clutch. He is one of the reasons Lamar Jackson has struggled in the playoffs. Because when he need this nigga the most, he right there to drop a pass, to stop running on a route. Like people love to go at Rashad Bateman. And that's because he was always hurt early in his career and all those other things. Mark Andrews has escaped criticism because he was Lamar's favorite weapon. So they never gave him the criticism. But I watched the games. One thing that I'm not finna do, and I'm so happy that I wasn't a big Lamar fan the first year of his career, because it made me watch him from a different perspective, and it made me watch the team from a different perspective. It wasn't me just hate watching Lamar saying everything is his fault. I was indifferent. He was still my quarterback, so I wasn't going to just throw him under the bus, but I needed to see some things. Every year of his career. If it's a big moment, Mark Andrews will be there to let him down. But Mark Andrews is never criticized for it. So it took Saturday's game or Sunday's game last week, in that big moment, him failing, for people to finally come around and say, no, we don't want him back. We don't want him back. This is why I tell you, some niggas don't know what they be watching. Because if you knew what you was watching, now granted, some people don't watch the Ravens, but I'm talking to Raven fans. If you knew what you was watching, you didn't need to see Mark Andrews fail in that moment. Because if you've been watching the Ravens, you know he was always going to fail in that big moment. Mark Andrews done have... See, people like to go at Marquise Brown. Rightfully so. He wasn't clutch. He dropped a lot of big catches. He made games harder for Lamar. But I can pinpoint big catches that Brown made in the playoffs. My problem is Raven fans hold Marquise Brown accountable for his drops and all him not coming up through in big moments and yada yada. Never did it for Mark Andrews. Never did it for him. I mean, go back and look at all the big plays that led to big plays, or plays where you don't think is big when Mark Andrews make a mistake, but then the next play is big, and you think to yourself, next, if Mark Andrews had just made this play. But he got to escape that criticism, which is why niggas didn't see this coming. I did, though. And to me, it was so poetic seeing Lamar lead that drive, likely catch the touchdown, and Mark Andrews dropped the 2-point conversion. Because you want to know what I thought every time Mark Andrews made a mistake in this game, from his first drop that led to the first fumble, from his fumble in the middle of the field. You want to know what I thought every time I saw Mark Andrews make a mistake? Sure would be nice if Likely had these opportunities instead of Mark. And then one of the reasons I said that they needed to trade him is because if he's on the field, Lamar is going to throw it to him. He was drafted with Lamar. Lamar is too loyal. He's going to throw him the ball. This is a decision that has to be taken out of Lamar's hands. John Harbaugh should understand, for one, we don't need to be paying 2 tight ends. 2, Isaiah Likely is so far and away the better tight end. We have to get him off the field, Mark Andrews, so that Isaiah Likely is getting these targets. Because we hurt his development as long as we keep, even if we draw up a play for Likely. If Andrews is on the field and Lamar think he open, that's who's getting the ball. You got to take that out of Lamar's hands at this point. And to me, see, I think Harbaugh is a great coach. But if next year, if he is still putting Mark Andrews in these positions, then I'm going to have a problem with Harbaugh. Because Harbaugh, you done seen this Mark's entire career. I know you're not going to come out and say it because you the head coach. You're not going to throw your players under the bus. I respect that. But you done seen, if you got to be honest with yourself, you done seen Mark Andrews fail you in these big moments far too many times. You seen him play bad in Buffalo when y'all played in Buffalo a couple years ago. You saw him play bad in Buffalo again this year. You done seen him play bad in big games against the Steelers. It was a reason he only has scored 1 time against the Steelers. This was his first year scoring a touchdown against them niggas. Because he played bad against the Steelers. Like, Mark Andrews done escaped a lot of criticism. And none of that matters now. What matters now is you have his replacement. You had his replacement for the last 2 years. It's time to move on. That's my opinion. I think it's funny that the Raven fans needed to get to that game to understand that and to see what I saw already. But nonetheless, shout out Isaiah Likely. Shout out Chuck Pagano, who is also coming. Now I know young Raven fans might not know who Chuck Pagano is, and I am a young Raven fan. I consider 30 years old to be young, but I'm talking about Raven fans who probably just came along since Lamar. Chuck Pagano is a great defensive coordinator. He is not coming back to be a defensive coordinator. He's coming back to be a help on the defense, but not the coordinator. John Harbaugh is a marvel to me, and I'm going to tell you why. And, you know, I think it's funny when some people say, Saint, you be glazing Harbaugh, because nobody had a problem. And I'm talking to Raven fans once again. Nobody had a problem when I talked about how great I thought Sean McVay was, Kyle Shanahan. Everybody know my favorite coach in the NFL is Matt LaFleur. Nobody had a problem when I would be on Twitter or on the show praising those head coaches. But as soon as I started defending John Harbaugh and praising him and pointing out factual things that make him a great head coach, not just great head coach, one of the upper echelon head coaches, niggas started having a problem and Saint didn't know what he was talking about no more. That's interesting. But listen, John Harbaugh is a great head coach. And to me, his patience is just something that I could only pray that I can obtain one day, because I done said it earlier in the season. It's just no shot that if I'm John Harbaugh, then I can have the faith that Zach Orr is going to turn it around. It's no way. I have Lamar Jackson on my team. I had those players on the defense. It's no way that I can trust he is going to turn this thing around. I'm probably firing him halfway through the season and finding somebody else. That's why John Harbaugh is who he is, and that's why I am who I am. Because he had faith in Zach Orr. He didn't say, let me pull the trigger. He said, let me figure out how we can get Zach to where we need him to get to. You bring in Dean Pease. Now you bring in Chuck Pagano. You bench the players who, granted, while I wasn't patient with the process of Zach Orr, I was very correct when it came to benching certain players. I said Jackson needed to be benched. Come to find out, he was just a bad locker room guy and they had to get him out of there. Marcus Williams, I said, I have nothing but respect for Marcus Williams. He was a great safety when he was in New Orleans in his first year here. He is not good. He should not be on an NFL field as a starter. They finally benched him. And then I said that they needed to move on from Brandon Stevens. Now, obviously, they didn't have the depth at cornerback to be able to do that. But I'm almost 100% certain they are moving. Again, this is how I know some of you Raven fans just be out there. I don't know what y'all be watching. Because Raven fans the last 2 years was raving about Brandon Stevens. I keep hearing Raven fans say, I have never seen a player cost themselves more money. Now, that statement is partially true. Because I've been saying for 2 years Brandon Stevens is not a good cornerback. But you look at the talent around him and the scheme that McDonald had him in, it made you think that he was. But if you really watch the film, and I'm not making this up, you could just go back and watch the videos that I've made from previous years where I'm talking about Brandon Stevens. When you watch the film, Brandon Stevens is the best thing that I can give Brandon Stevens. And I think this is really what confused people as to thinking that he was one of those dudes. He was great at staying with his receiver. And it's not even that he is great staying with him. Brandon Stevens is a good man-to-man defender because he can stay sticky to his man. The problem is he panicked. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. When that ball is in the air or a receiver start to make a move, he panicked. It don't matter if it's the first move, the second move. Once the receiver is no longer running in a straight line, when they decide to make their move, Brandon Stevens panics. I don't understand it. And the reason I'm using that exclusively for all those things is because I feel as though people keep saying he panicked when the ball in the air. When the ball is in the air, I don't think he panicked. I just think he straight up forget how to play football. Like panicking, I done seen corners panic. Sometimes it's justifiable panicking. Panicking every single time just mean that you done forgot the position, bro. Like every time the ball is in the air, you just straight up done forgot what to do when the ball is in the air. Because to make as many, and I don't even get mad when they flag Brandon Stevens, because if you go watch it, he is legitimately getting these penalties. It's either a hold or pass interference, because he get beat because he panic after he don't know after the move is made. Then the ball is in the air, and this is the thing. Once the move is made and he panic, he usually get lost, and then that's when he got to hold or grab and get the pass. When he don't panic because the move ain't been made yet and then the ball is in, that's when he just straight up forget how to play football. And that's when he usually get dunked on. Or he give up a play because he pick up a stupid ass penalty or something. He been doing that since last year, since the year before. But for some reason, niggas kept seeing how great. The real problem is it can be hard to tell who is really pulling their own weight or who is really one of the difference makers in the defense sometimes when you have so many talented players on the defense, especially when some of those talents aren't truly defined yet. Example, I said last year that when Marlon Humphreys was playing, he was playing great football. Again, I did not need Marlo to be great this year. That all-pro that he is this year, you could see that coming if you watch how great he played when he played last year. Getting back to all-pro Marlo, that was great. But it was because of how great he was playing last year, you could have predicted that. To me, if you looked at Brandon Stevens and said to yourself, oh, he playing good enough where, and I think he wanted, you're crazy. Like, dead ass. I think what helped Brandon Stevens was Marcus Williams still had some juice in the tank. And so he got to have Marcus Williams play over him. He also got to have Marlo playing a slot near him. He also had Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith at the middle linebacking positions. Now, you might think to yourself, well, Saint, what the fuck does that help them do when both of those linebackers are bad in coverage? I'm glad you asked. Both of those linebackers are bad in coverage when you ask them to have the responsibility to cover niggas themselves without any type of help around them. Mike McDonald was not doing that. Patrick Queen's speed also, I don't care how bad Patrick Queen is as a fundamental player. I talked about Patrick Queen for many years. The one credit I will always get this nigga, until he just ain't got it no more, is he is fast. He is a fast linebacker. One of the fastest linebackers I think I've seen in the league. If Patrick Queen was Patrick Willis, if he had like Patrick Willis' skill set and add on that speed, because I'm trying to think of the fastest middle linebacker. I couldn't remember if it was Navarro Bowman or Patrick Willis that was the ones that was fast. But one of them two niggas was fast as hell. I think Ray Lewis was fast in his prime. Like, when you have that type of speed and you can match it with all the other things that Ray and Navarro and Pat Will, I know some people don't know who the fuck Navarro Bowman is. Luke Kuechly. Like, those is players to me who was linebackers who had some speed on it. Now, Luke Kuechly, obviously not the speed demon that, you know. They should have cast Luke to play Superman. He looked better as the Superman than whoever they got playing it right now. But I'm going to still watch the film. Nonetheless, this I didn't mean for this to start off as a big Ravens segment. I really didn't. But I just saw some things. Listen, the end of the day, I believe what's going to happen with Mark Andrews is, and the Ravens need to stop panicking, because Mark Andrews is going, for one, it don't make sense for the Ravens to just straight out cut Mark Andrews. Even if I don't want Mark Andrews on the roster, but I don't want them to just cut him, because that just doesn't make sense. For one, all of the tight ends in the last year of their contracts. Isaiah, I'm almost 100% sure. Almost, and then I said 100% sure. I'm 100% sure. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that that Isaiah Likely is getting extended. It would make no sense to me to look at what he is and let him leave the building. That just would make absolutely no sense. Isaiah Likely, in my opinion, should be the highest paid tight end in the league. That's the type of trajectory I see for Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews will probably not be extended, but I don't see them releasing him. The only way I see him not being on the Ravens team next year, and I hope this happens, is if he gets traded. The problem is, if you trade him, he only got a year left on his contract, so he could just be a free agent next year. So teams might not offer you what you would look for. But then again, Mark Andrews 29, he'll be 30 next season. I don't really think Mark Andrews would demand. I think a team like the Commanders would go for him, because you don't know how much Zach Ertz got left in the tank. You would love to get a Mark Andrews over there with Jaden Daniels. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, that to me would be the number one trade target if I were at Washington. I would try everything in my power to get Mark Andrews. If I was the Patriots, I would do everything in my power to try to get Mark Andrews over there. If I were the Titans, I would try to get Mark Andrews. I'm thinking about teams with young quarterbacks who need a safety net like a Mark Andrews. For me, that would be the Commanders, the Patriots, the Titans. Hell, to be honest with you, the Falcons could use them. The Bears, no, I like Cole Kmet, but Cole Kmet not better than Mark Andrews, but I like Cole Kmet, so I wouldn't say the Bears. I'm thinking about the young quarterback who need a tight end. I'm be honest. I know that they have McBride over there in Arizona. But if you gave me the option to go after Mark Andrews, see, that's the thing. Mark Andrews is better than a lot of these tight ends. But that's why I say the Ravens are very lucky that Isaiah Likely is in their building already. Because I don't know how many times you have, not only do you have a player's replacement in your locker room for this many years who willing to learn behind somebody also. But it's so very clear that Mark Andrews' replacement is better than him and needs to replace him now. Like, so to me, that's really what's crazy, that the Ravens is fortunate enough to actually have. And can you think about how hard it is to replace a tight end like Mark Andrews? See, that's why I don't want people to understand. I don't want people to think I'm undermining Mark Andrews. Like, I very much understand how great Mark Andrews is, which makes it even crazier that you have more than a replacement for Mark Andrews. You have your future tight end in the building right now, and Mark Andrews is still there. That's crazy. Because Mark Andrews is the franchise tight end for a lot of these dudes. I mean, for a lot of these teams. So I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, now you're not getting a first or a second for Mark Andrews. I don't believe. But I do believe you could work a 3rd round pick. I think you could get a decent player in return for Mark Andrews. Like, I'm not finna sit here and act like Mark Andrews is a bum. My only problem with Mark Andrews, legit, is he just not a clutch player. He just don't show up in the big moments. I'm not taking away nothing else from Mark Andrews. He just isn't clutch. It's as simple as that. When it is a big moment, big play to be had, I do not want Mark Andrews in that moment. It just is what it is. Aside from that, I would take Mark Andrews over every single tight end in the league, not named Isaiah Likely, Travis Kelce, and George Kittle. And I would probably take him over George Kittle. My problem, no, I wouldn't. George Kittle's clutch, so I would never take him over George Kittle. I get annoyed when niggas compare him to Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce probably the clutchest tight end I've ever seen. And for them niggas to continuously compare him to a tight end that's not nowhere near as clutching. Like, if you go through Mark Andrews' history of failed clutch moments and you think to yourself, what would Travis Kelce have done in this moment? You wouldn't be thinking for too long. You would get disgusted because you would be like, Travis Kelce would never make these mistakes. He would never fail his team like that. In the biggest moments, when Patty need him the most, nah. And that's one of the reasons. But we done been on this situation for too long. Raven fans, stop being stupid on Twitter. They are not going to give Mark Andrews some crazy extension. The only way Mark Andrews gets an extension with the Ravens is if he take like a super team-friendly contract, which I do not see happening. I think Mark Andrews will have suitors elsewhere that will pay him more than what the Ravens will pay him. And I don't care how much you love Lamar, love the team, yada, yada, yada. You go where the money go. Now, I want to talk about some of these coaching hires. The Cowboys hire Brian Schottenheimer. The Jags hire Liam Cohen. Schottenheimer was the OC with the Cowboys under McCarthy, even though he didn't call plays. Liam Cohen was the OC in Tampa. The Raiders hire Pete Carroll. The Jets hired Aaron Glenn, who was a DC in Detroit. The Bears hired Ben Johnson, who was the OC in Detroit. And the Pats hire Mike Vrabel, the former Titans head coach, who I have said on a multitude of occasions I believe is overrated. Which ones do I like? Which ones do I don't like? Do I not like? I want to start off, because this one could take the longest, on the Cowboys. Because, see, the whole purpose of this video today, this show, was actually not the Super Bowl preview. That will probably end up being a separate show now that I'm seeing what time I'm on right now. Because I probably could be on this one for a little minute. I do not like Brian Schottenheimer being hired as the head coach of the Cowboys. Now, I don't have a problem with Brian Schottenheimer. I'm not even one of them people who will tell you, well, he ain't got a resume, so, you should be hiring. That's not the type of team. Cowboys is not the Ravens. The Cowboys are not the... If you are a team that should be contending for a Super Bowl, you shouldn't be hiring an unknown coach. Like, in my opinion, if you are any team that's trying to compete for a Super Bowl, what are we doing hiring unknowns? For the Cowboys, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender team anyways. So that doesn't really matter to me. However, the Cowboys keep saying that they are a Super Bowl team, a team that want to compete for a Super Bowl. So I'm very confused in this hire. Now, people will say that Jerry Jones is the reason why the Cowboys cannot succeed. And I partially agree with that. Like, I don't want to take away none of the credit that Jerry Jones should be given, because he has won multiple Super Bowls with the Cowboys, and he put together those teams. And to be honest, I mean, you look at some of the moves he done, because he basically the GM of the team also. He got Micah Parsons. Jerry done built a great Cowboys team. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't give Jerry Jones probably more than 20%. If Jerry Jones could let niggas do their job, that would be great. I think his biggest problem is his coaching hires. Jerry, for some reason, will not go out and bring in a top-tier head coach. And you're the Cowboys. You could easily bring in a top-tier head coach. So I don't understand that. And talking to the media about the team and what they did, I think you put unnecessary pressure on your team. However, that being said, the Cowboys teams the past couple of years have been good enough to win in the NFC. Which is why I'm annoyed that they allowed Mike McCarthy to walk out of the door. Because Mike McCarthy, to me, is not a bad head coach. I actually think it's insane that he got so much blame over the last couple of years. And then when he got rid of Kellen Moore because he wanted to call plays, I don't understand why people got annoyed with that. He is an OC. He calls plays. That's what he did before he was a head coach. He called the plays when he was in Green Bay. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. If that nigga want to call plays, let that man call plays. So I don't have a problem with Mike McCarthy. I actually like Mike McCarthy. I actually am annoyed that the Cowboys did him the way they did him, because now he doesn't have a head coaching job. Now, Mike McCarthy will get another head coaching job if he wants one, because McCarthy is a damn good head coach. The Cowboys was winning 12 games a season after he showed up. You're not winning 12 games. Well, they might have an easy schedule, so they might find a way to rip off 12. Nah, they ain't winning no 12 games. 12 games was not just the roster and all of that. Mike McCarthy is a great head coach, but I don't think Mike McCarthy was a problem. I don't think Jerry Jones. Those are Jerry's biggest problems. But to me, when you look at these teams that Jerry done put together, he done put together teams that can go win it in the NFC. I will continue to say the Cowboys' biggest problem is the quarterback position. Until Dak Prescott can win big games against great quarterbacks and great teams, you have what you have. Go look at every single big game the Cowboys done lost. Dak probably played bad in the beginning of those games. He might have had good stats at the end, but he did not play good football. Now, people will say, I thought you said it's how you end the game, Saint. Nigga, that's when the game is close and you win it. Dak Prescott don't be playing good in the fourth. He be stat padding in the fourth because the game is already over. It's still a chance to win the game if you're playing great. Dak don't be having a chance to win these games. When the Ravens came back last week against the Bills, that started at the beginning of the third, not late in the fourth when the game was already over. When the Chiefs and the Bills needed to step up last week against each other because they started scoring, that did not happen late in the game once one team had already ripped off 2 scores and was ahead by multiple scores. They was going back and forth, something that Dak cannot do against top-tier quarterbacks. I get on here and I talk a lot about Justin Fields. Dak's better than Justin Fields. The difference between Dak and Justin, well, no, it's not even a difference. Well, it is, because Dak is far better than Justin Fields. But the reason I start to get towards that Justin Fields level of criticism with Dak sometimes is not because of how he played. Dak's a good quarterback. It's Dak against great competition. You stuck in the same spot if your quarterback doesn't raise his level of play when he play. That's why I get annoyed when niggas talk about Lamar can't win big games. Every time Lamar play against a great team in the regular season, he win those games or he compete in those games. And the Lamar that played in the playoffs this year, you don't want to play that Lamar again. That's the quarterback that can get to a super. This is the best I have ever seen Lamar look in the playoffs was this year. And he looked good last year. This year, I believed. This year made me look at him and say, this nigga is a quarterback that can lead a team to a Super Bowl. Now, I already thought he could lead a team to a Super Bowl, but that was just because of his pure talent. I saw him just strictly playing quarterback, and I said, oh, he gonna be good for some years. He gonna be a nasty muff for some years. Like, people laughing at him getting out of the playoffs this year, but you better pray he don't return next year playing the way he just played, because this style of play from Lamar Jackson, oh, his mantle not going to be empty for too much longer when it comes to Super Bowls. See, that's a desire. That's a faith as a Raven fan you can have in the Ravens, because you see the development in Lamar every year. What does Dak develop at every year? This ain't even a shot at Dak. This is me being dead ass. Can you look at Dak and pinpoint he done got better at every single year of his career? Because if he done got better at something, he wouldn't continue to lose these games the same way. He wouldn't continue to lose against the great teams. He wouldn't continue to lose against the great quarterbacks. But he does. He couldn't even beat Tua on Christmas last year when they were supposed to be good teams. Do it out with it, dogs. But Dak couldn't beat him. Going on the road against superior teams or teams that's just as good as Dallas, Dak can't beat him. But I'm supposed to keep blaming Jerry Jones. I'm supposed to blame Mike McCarthy, Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore, the defense. Like, at some point in time, Dak Prescott has to come through. And it can't be, oh, well, look at his stats at the end of the game. Did they win or did they lose the fucking game? Because at this point, when you say look at Dak's stats, that's not like when Joe Burrow played good in the loss, or Lamar or Josh Allen or Mahomes, because they probably played good in the loss and they was actually competing all the way through. It was just whoever had the ball last. With Dak, that's not the case. That is not the case. And nothing that I have said is an opinion. It can be factually backing up. Dak does not beat great teams. Dak does not beat great quarterbacks. Dak does not beat teams on the road that are supposed to be just as good as his team. Those are not lies. Go look at the stats. Go look at his record in those moments. Go look at his record against those teams. Go look at his record against those quarterbacks. This is not me making shit up, which is why I am confused how Dak done fooled you Cowboy fans. See, people keep saying Jerry talked too much. Jerry talked too much. Dak don't get it done enough. That's the problem with the Cowboys. Not Jerry. Jerry ain't on the field throwing them interceptions. Jerry ain't on the field fumbling the ball. Jerry not on the field freezing up against the big in the big moments. Jerry not the one who can't get a drive going or a score going for his team for 3 quarters, and then the other team done put up 40 points and now we gonna start scoring. That's not Jerry. You can say Jerry talk all you want to. Jerry is not the one on the field playing. And it'd be a difference if Jerry had no talent out there. Jerry put one of the best offensive lines in the recent memory on the Cowboys team. He gave Dak that. He gave Dak Zeke. He gave Dak Pollard. All these niggas was at their best when they were with Dak in their primes. Dak couldn't get it done. We keep blaming everybody else, but it's very funny to me that you blame Lamar for his mistakes or for the team not getting it done, even when he great. You blame Josh Allen when his team don't get it done. I can never use Joe Burrow because for some reason niggas don't blame Joe Burrow for nothing. He is one of the few quarterbacks, and it don't make sense because people blame Pat Mahomes, but Joe Burrow is the one nigga that is flawless to everybody. So I don't understand it, but nonetheless, Dak Prescott is why the Cowboys are now on his 3rd head coach. It's not because of those head coaches couldn't get it done. It's not because of Jerry Jones. It's not because this nigga done had talented receiving cores, talented receivers, talented running backs, great offense, legendary offensive lines, legendary seasons from Zeke, like great defenses, great legendary defensive seasons, and still has never been able to get it done. He done had all those at one time. I'm confused what we're talking. Like, and Cowboy fans can continue to try to morph this Dak thing into trying to, oh, well, look at Lamar. Oh, look at Josh. Oh, look at. I'm not trying to hear it. For one, I don't even like it when people try to use Dak's playoffs anything compared to them dogs in the AFC. Because Dak wouldn't make the playoffs in the AFC. Okay? For one, Lamar, Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes would never miss the playoffs in the NFC. I'm 100% confident in saying that. And I know some people say, well, Joe Burrow missed it in AFC. Yeah, that's the AFC. He got Lamar Jackson in his division. Dak Prescott wouldn't sniff a Super Bowl. He wouldn't sniff, in my opinion. What division is you throwing him in? The CJ Stroud division? Because he wouldn't beat CJ Stroud and them boys. So he'd be competing for a wild card every year. And the wild card that he would compete against would have to be against the Steelers, a team that I don't think he would beat. The Bengals, a team he ain't beating, because you know who he got at quarterback. They got at quarterback. They not competing against a Raven team that if they had to compete for a wild card, they not competing against. The Bills shouldn't be in a wild card position. They should be winning their division. They wouldn't be competing with the Chiefs. With the Chiefs should be winning their division. I wouldn't take them over the Chargers. I wouldn't take them, depending on who the Raiders get at quarterback. Like, you can't put Dak in the NFC, in the AFC. He'd be worse in the AFC, far worse in the AFC than he was in the NFC. You think you could throw him on the Ravens team? That's not the Dallas offensive line he done had in the past. Yeah, you could give him Derrick Henry. But that's who Lamar had this year. You giving him them teams Lamar done took to the playoffs in the past? Are you giving him the weapons that Lamar done won MVPs with? Because from what I was told, Dak ain't got weapons and he got CD over there. Lamar ain't had no CD. He just got his first Pro Bowl receiver. Are you putting him on the Josh Allen team from this year? Are you putting him on that Bengals team from this year? Would you dare put him on any of these Chiefs teams that haven't had no type of receiving help over the last couple of years? You wouldn't. So I'm tired of hearing niggas come to the defense of Dak and say it's Jerry, it's Jerry, it's Jerry. At some point in time, the nigga on the field that's playing your quarterback position got to get it done. Because you keep telling me how bad Dan Snyder is. And I kept saying, I don't care how bad that nigga is as an owner. Until the nigga get a quarterback, it ain't gonna matter. Because when he had RG3, shit was smooth. Niggas thought he was a good owner. When Kirk Cousins had a good season, you thought he was a good owner. Niggas didn't care about the ownership. Dak Prescott, I just watched. And I like to use NFC quarterbacks. I just watched Jaden Daniels as a rookie be better than Dak. Beat great teams. I done seen Jalen Hurts do it every year. Baker Mayfield is beating the top teams in the NFC, like the Lions. The 49ers and Brock Purdy beat the good teams. You know the one common denominator in the NFC? The Cowboys don't beat the good teams. The Cowboys don't beat the good Lions. They don't beat the good Vikings. They don't beat the 49ers. They don't beat the Eagles. They don't beat the top tier teams. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys find themselves in the same cycle every fucking year. This is exactly why I said to start the season, it could be a rough year for Dallas. Because I'm looking at this schedule, and because Dak is who he is, y'all niggas probably will miss the playoffs. And lo and behold, you niggas missed the playoffs. What's very intriguing to me, though, is like I said, Jerry's one flaw. I don't know how you fire Mike McCarthy after he coached that team up the way he coached them up at the end of the season. I don't understand it, because that type of coaching job at the end of the season is what would make me keep my head coach. If I'm trying to find a reason to keep a head coach that just had double-digit win seasons, what would make me keep? Well, for one, I wouldn't even be considering firing him off of one bad season. Two, if I were, what would make me keep him is remembering, oh, well, at the end of the season, he reminded me, yeah, the motherfucker can coach. So until the Cowboys fix those issues, the Cowboys will continuously be looking for head coaches. So I'm not a big fan of the Brian Schottenheimer hire, but it doesn't really matter because the Cowboys are who they are and Dak Prescott is their quarterback. And this is not me going to Dak Prescott, because I would much rather have Dak Prescott than Justin Fields, because there's faith that Dak could figure it out far before Justin Fields. Justin Fields legitimately still is bad at shit that quarterbacks are good. Jaden Daniels is already light years better than Justin Fields. And I don't want to hear, well, Justin Fields playing the AFC, Saint. Justin Fields was an NFC quarterback his entire career until this year. I'm not trying to hear that. Oh, well, he was undefeated in the AFC, Saint. Look at who he played against. Stop playing with me, bruh. I'm not a dumbass on Twitter. Now, the Jags hire Liam Cohen. I'm very intrigued by this hire. I don't truly know how to feel. He came to a good division because as of right now, all you have to go up against is CJ Stroud. Because I don't think Anthony Richardson is a good quarterback at the moment. However, I don't truly know how to feel yet about the hire because Liam Cohen his offense put up big numbers in Tampa. But his offense also had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. If I'm going to give him credit for something, it's that he found those running backs and got that running game going. But Byron Leftwich's offense was great with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. And you could even give him I could even say Chris Godwin became great in Byron Leftwich's system. So, I don't know. It's an interesting, very interesting to me that Byron Leftwich couldn't get a head coaching job. But from the same fucking team. But Cohen did. And I guess they said because the GM and him is friends or some shit like that. That's usually how this thing goes, we know. But, so it's going to be an interesting hire because you don't have a Mike Evans. You don't have a Chris Godwin. Travis Etienne was not good last year. They had a good, I can't remember the name of their second running back who was good last year, but I didn't think Doug Peterson was a bad head coach, but Doug Peterson, in my opinion, the way he let his locker rooms go to shit should be studied. He let that Eagles locker room just go to absolute shit, and then he let the Jags locker room and team go to shit. So, and the locker room and the Jags didn't even go to shit the way the Eagles did. But the way that this nigga can be a good coach and still have some of the things that happen under Doug Peterson only happen when you have bad head coaches. But we still consider him a good head coach. It's interesting. Nonetheless, I am interested in this hire because it's two people on this list not Pete Carroll. Cohen's offense and Aaron Glenn's defense are very intriguing to me because Cohen just left better offensive pieces in Tampa than in Jacksonville. So if it really was his genius on offense in Tampa, it's gonna take him probably a year or two to show it in Jacksonville because they don't have that type of, weaponry. I did not think Aaron Glenn's defense was that great in Detroit any of the years, but I did think he did a great job developing Aiden Hutchinson. However, regardless of how great or bad I thought how not great his defense was in Detroit, he is going to a better situation in New York. So while Cohen is going to the worst offensive situation, Glenn is going to a better defensive situation. So that's very interesting to me. So I didn't have faith. I didn't know if the offense for Cohen or the defense for Glenn was really that great that warranted getting a head coaching job. But it is very possible that you could now, I'm not telling you that Cohen gonna be bad, but because he is leaving the weapons he is leaving, it's very possible that his offense doesn't look good this year, even if he is a good offensive mind. And even though I didn't think Glenn's defense was great, it's very possible that this year his defense might look like the best in the league because he has great defensive weapons in New York. So it's interesting how these things play themselves out. Now, I think that New York should have hired an offensive mind. Personally, I keep saying that, and the reason I'm saying that is because the only reason that the defensive mind works right now is because Aaron Rodgers will probably be your quarterback. It's just so hard for me. Now, this could turn into CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. The problem is he ain't got a CJ Stroud at quarterback in New York. He a defensive mind. He gonna have to make sure he hire the absolute best offensive mind possible to get his quarterbacks and his offense where they need to go, because that could be a huge deterrent in the AFC, where you got the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Texans, the Chargers, the Broncos. Like, it's a lot of talented teams in the AFC, especially with the top quarterbacks being in the AFC, knowing what Lamar and that offense can do, knowing what Burrow and his offense can do, specifically those two offenses. Because unless you Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, you are not going toe-to-toe with those Ravens and Bengals offenses, more than likely. You more than likely not in big moments. So you have to get a quarterback or a head coach that can find a way to slow that down. Now, I don't truly believe that any head coach without a proper quarterback at his disposal can beat those four quarterbacks when it matters. Especially now in their careers, that they more matured and things like I just don't think, like, early in their career, yeah, you could get them. They were still young. I don't think where Lamar, Josh, Burrow, and Pat are right now in big games where they have to win them. I just don't see them losing those games if you don't have one of those like, even for Burrow, he had to win every game down the stretch, and he won all those games down the stretch. So he didn't make the playoffs, but he also didn't lose down the stretch when he needed to win. I just think it is so much harder in the AFC when the games are on the line and they matter. If you don't go into the game with a Lamar, a Mahomes, a Allen, or a Burrow, but you have to go up against one of them niggas, now you're not beating them. I just don't see it. That's why I think the AFC playoffs from here on out will be Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow in the AFC Championship. Because I don't even think CJ Stroud is as good as those quarterbacks. Like, I don't think he is on the level where he can go toe to toe with them niggas. As far as, like, he can battle them, but I don't think he gonna ultimately win those battles right now. Like, that's how much better I think those quarterbacks are than everybody else. Like, they put their teams in such Bro, the Bills team with any other quarterback would have been trash this year. The Ravens past teams with any other quarterback would have been trash. The Mahomes, take him off the Chiefs, trash. You take Burrow off of that Bengals team, trash. Now, granted, they'll still probably be decent offensively because they do have weapons over there offensively, but they're not winning shit. And I know you can say that for all them quarterbacks, but it's different with these niggas. So that's gonna be the interesting thing when it comes to those. I don't care how great Aaron Glenn's defense is in New York. It will always fail if you do not have a quarterback. The Raiders get Pete Carroll. I really don't know how to feel about that hire, because unless Pete Carroll done changed his philosophy and his mindset going forward, it's just not going to work. That was my problem with Pete when he was in Seattle. He kept this ground and pound bullshit, and clearly the NFC is no longer a ground and pound conference. Them niggas is throwing the ball all around the field with crazy ass OCs and left and right, bro. You're not beating these teams anymore. So, to me, especially when the quarterback landscape is so evenly matched, now it really do become about being a great head coach. To me, unless Pete Carroll done changed that up, and not to mention, I don't care how different his philosophy is, bro. You play in the same division as Pat Mahomes. You don't have a Justin Herbert. You don't got a Pat Mahomes. You don't have a Bo Nix. You are the third best team in that division. This is not a desirable hire. You do not have a draft pick that could get you a Shador or Cam Ward. I don't even know if you have the capital. You do have the capital to go up and get one. The problem is, I think both of the teams that need quarterbacks are the ones taking the two first. Max Crosby should have been traded 2 years ago. You in this spot because of that. I tell you all the time, I don't need to see the worst happen to know what's coming. I kept telling y'all on the show, Max Crosby should be traded. Max Crosby should be traded. This Raider team is nowhere near competing for a championship. They don't have a lick on this team. Like, it's one thing when you have... See, the Bengals are not far away from a rebuild. I understand they got Joe Burrow. But look at all the talent they got on offense. They just got to fix that defense. The Raiders need to fix both. The Raiders need to fix defense, special teams, offense, coaches, front office. When you have that many problems on a team, but you have a key asset like a Max Crosby who could be traded to gain. Like, I understand you don't want to draft a Max Crosby and develop him and then trade him. The situation, however, is Max Crosby does nothing for your team because all his stats and all his greatness, for one, he not even going to touch his peak because he going to get doubled and tripled because he the only pass rusher. He the only legitimate one on your team. Then you go sign Christian Wilkins, which makes further make no sense to me because, okay, now you got 2 high-paid defensive linemen. No offense, no defense still, no special. Like, I'm not understanding. To me, Max Crosby could have got you probably multiple first-round picks, if not a first and a second. Young, in his prime, could contribute strongly to a team. You know how many niggas would be trying to go get a Max Crosby? And they kept holding on to him. Now, trade this nigga this offseason if you want to start a true rebuild. Like, this is what I don't understand what the Raiders don't understand. My guys, you are in the same division with Mahomes. Now, Justin Herbert and Bo Nix just made the playoffs. Not only that, Andy Reid and Jim Harbaugh are in your division. Now let's take it to the conference view, since the Raiders seem to be in no urgency to get a quarterback. Lamar Jackson plays in the AFC. Josh Allen plays in the AFC. Joe Burrow plays in the AFC. CJ Stroud plays in the AFC. I just mentioned the quarterbacks that are in your division that play in the AFC. Russell Wilson was not terrible last year. He better than what you got. I don't understand the Raiders. I told y'all 2 years ago, I told you last year, and I'll tell you again this year. Franchise malpractice. You should not look at this team and not realize how far behind the 8 ball you are. You are so far and away. You are so far away from being a great team. Like, you're nowhere near being a great team. I don't know if Pete Carroll changes that. The Bears hiring Ben Johnson, I do like that hire. A lot of offensive way. I think Ben Johnson just straight up looked at the landscape. He looked at the team that had the most offensive weapons to work with, and they just so happened to live also in the NFC. So he got a double. He came out of this thing great. I think that'll be great for them. I cannot see this not working out for the Bears unless Ben Johnson is just terrible at clock management, terrible at game management, terrible at people management, terrible at leading men. That's the only way I can see this falling apart. Because Ben Johnson did have a lot of talent in Detroit, but his talent he helped make. That wasn't an established talent before he got there. When Ben Johnson got there, Detroit's talent was not like this. Now, they drafted high. They had a lot of high draft picks. But the fact that Ben Johnson knew exactly where to put these dudes, he got Montgomery in the free agency, and they figured out how to, like, to me, and it's not like he doing it with a stud quarterback either. Like, to me, I like Ben Johnson. I'm always going to have favoritism over the OCs that can create and do a lot of great things. And like I said, I'm not shitting on Liam. It's just going to be harder in Jacksonville because you go to the AFC and you go to a team that just don't have the talent at the offensive disposal that you had in Tampa. But I think Ben Johnson gonna. Now, Ben Johnson is also in a tough division. You got Minnesota, you got Green Bay, you got Detroit. So that is not going to be a easy division, and 4 teams are not going to make the playoffs in that division. So I am very intrigued by what can happen because Minnesota can take a step back. You know how I told you that I don't think Minnesota will take they definitely won't do what the Giants did that season. But the Minnesota's quarterback situation could be in flux. So I'm interested to see how that go. If Caleb Williams really is a great... Now, the biggest thing with Ben Johnson is going to have to get Caleb Williams to understand and do is to play on time, play on schedule. My nigga, you cannot... This is not college. We don't even want this to be college. Like, my nigga, we do not want to make a living out of you surviving and playing off of the play breaking down and backyard type football, because that's not going to help you at all. You might win some games right now, but that will not help your development or help you in the future or help you last in this game for too long. So Ben Johnson got to figure out how to get this nigga Caleb Williams to play on time and to stop holding on to the ball too long, which that plays a part in playing on time. The Pats hiring Mike Vrabel. I mean, listen. I heard somebody say the other day, or when this hire happened, that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots he already got them boys as a top team, and he already gonna have them boys rocking. And I said, what makes you think that? Like, I understand we like to act like Mike Vrabel did. Like, I understand he turned around Ryan Tannehill's career, if you want to say that, even though he was not the OC. But for us to sit here and act like this nigga did not have Derrick Henry playing some of the most legendary to a lot of you niggas, Derrick Henry is the greatest running back you done ever seen in your life, because you probably didn't see AP. So this is the best running back a lot of niggas done seen in their lifetime. But for some reason we act like Vrabel was the reason Derrick Henry had this type of success. But then we blame Tannehill when the nigga was throwing all them interceptions in big games. But that was Mike Vrabel who kept putting him in there, trusting him. Mike Vrabel's greatest accomplishment to me for the Titans was benching Mariota. Him understanding Mariota was not going to get it done was probably that's what bought him as many years as it bought him. His offense was the same every year. He was fortunate enough to draft A.J. Brown and have Derrick Henry. As soon as he lost both of them, or lost one of them, the offense wasn't the same. His greatest year is really what he living off of. And I know some people be like, well, that's what everybody live off is their greatest year. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's an accumulation of greatness. So, to me, I have no faith in the Pats. This is actually the hire that annoyed me more than any of the other hires. And then this nigga brought in what's the dude's name? Josh McDaniels as the OC. So basically they just rehired Bill Belichick. To me, I hope the Patriots lose every fucking game. No. I hope the Patriots win just enough games that they have no shot at getting the best quarterback in the draft. But they lose enough games to where we know this is a sorry team. That's what I hope happens to the Patriots, because I do not think Mike Vrabel is a great head coach. I think he's a good head coach. I don't think he was great enough to where I'm firing Gerard Mayo, who is a rookie head coach trying to figure shit out with a terrible roster. But I'm so happy that people think Mike Vrabel going to just change it. The Patriots do got a lot of cap space. Very funny that Gerard Mayo wasn't allowed to build the team he wanted to build with that cap space, but we going to let but they are going to allow Mike Vrabel to do that. That's very interesting. But I have no faith in Mike Vrabel or the Patriots. I don't think they're going to be a great team. Niggas I don't understand this, to be completely honest with you. Mike Vrabel did not have success against Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and them boys. He had success against the young version of them niggas. When them boys became dogs, Mike Vrabel ain't beating them. But we keep giving this nigga credit like he somehow was a shining light in his sorry ass division that he played in for all those years that didn't have CJ Stroud. No Andrew Luck. That's why you can win that division that many times, when Derrick Henry is better than every quarterback in that division. But I'm happy he's with the Patriots. They can be ass together. With that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. You can be anything in this world, so choose to be kind to somebody today. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. I fuck with you. I love you. Saint out.
I have fought the good fight, and I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Well, I've fought a good fight. I've finished my football race. And after 18 years, it's time. God bless all of you, and God bless football.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.